Hello and welcome to this edition of the Business Spotlight interview series. Today it is my great pleasure to have Bridgene Keeley with me. Bridgene is the marketing director of McKeever Hotels here in Northern Ireland. Bridgene, how are you? Good to have you. Thank you.
I'm great, Richard. No, thanks for having me on.
Good. Look, why don't you tell us about yourself, who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it for?
Okay, well, I suppose Bridgene Keeley, as you said, I'm the director of marketing. I also have another remit on our board, which is company secretary, director of governance. So I make sure all the rules and regulations are hit and all the things are filed. So that's quite a not as fun a job, but it's definitely a very important job. Yeah, I've worked in it's a family business, and it's my family business, even though my executive is different now. But I've worked here professionally in marketing for 20 years.
Fantastic.
Um, I started in the business when I was a child. We didn't get paid back then. We were just doing it for chores. Because we actually started my father. Well, I suppose what the history of the company really is that my dad started in Course Corner when it was a bar restaurant as a 12-year-old washing dishes.
Wow.
And John Corr put him through his exams and he became head chef there. Left and bought a restaurant in Randallstown. We moved in above that. And my mum was a teacher and she worked every evening waitressing and every weekend, and we lived above it and everybody got involved.
Right.
And yeah, and then John Corr wanted to retire. He wanted to sell Corr's Corner, that was the Roadhouse at that point, and he approached Dad about it, and so he bought it. And 4 years later, put on bedrooms, and we became hoteliers. So it's sort of been a progression from there. So Dad and Mum are very still active in the business, thankfully. He's just moved into a chairman role. My brother's just moved into the managing director role, and I still look after all the sales, marketing, communications, and then I have the board role of more that governance side of things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So very, very
It's
full
been a
plate.
journey.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. And obviously there's Course Corner. What was the next one after that that came along?
After Course Corner, let me see now. I'm going to get in so much trouble if I get this timeline wrong because I do so much. After Course Corner, we actually bought the Dunsilley Arms. So it was a pub.
Yeah.
Um, just in Antrim, it's now where Dunsilley Hotel is. So
Oh,
it was,
sure. It's a
yeah,
huge
it was
investment you've done
a
there.
bar and big, massive grounds on it. So I did work there when I was a kid as well. And then we bought Balmoral Hotel actually over in Black's Belfast for a while, and we had it for 5 or 6 years. Sold it and came back and developed Cores again. So it 30 bedrooms at that point. And then we put on a few extra millions. That was 2006 to 2008. So
Okay.
it opened, had one brilliant month, and then we get slapped with the recession, the financial crash, and it all was just like we could have just closed up those extra rooms. So we just put on and we went, what happened? So, but it was all fine. And we moved from there to Ballymena, and we bought the Adair Arms Hotel in 2010.
Oh,
And we were the only people to buy a hotel that year, again, because the whole financial crisis was still going on.
yeah.
Um, then we went over the border to Letterkenny when my brother came back, and he had worked a lot in the south of Ireland in
Yes.
the Dalata Hotel Group when they started up, and he worked in the Burlington Hotel. So he had a lot of experience in sort of Irish legislation and wages and everything else that goes with it and running a
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So and my mum's family, so my granddad was from up around there
Oh, okay.
outside Letterkenny. So it kind of was a nice fit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we took that on. And then we took on the Denandry Hotel in 2017. And again, as our luck would have it, we did the whole refurbishment, spent 2 years, 6 million doing a whole refurbishment, got our 4-star back at the end of 2019. And I remember having like a group of operators, so international operators, and I walked them around this property in November. And like 3 months later, we were all sitting at home going,
Lockdown.
what do you mean we're closed?
Wow.
That
Wow.
seems to be a trend that follows us about every time we do like some big development, some international crisis hits us, but sure, we're still here. It's great. Builds resilience.
One of the questions I usually ask is what are the biggest issues that you've had to overcome? But I think you've hit two of them there with the
I
financial
know.
crash back in 2008 and then the pandemic. So
Absolutely. I remember at the start of my career, it was like there was everything was going really well for a few years in the hospitality industry, and it was going from strength to strength in tourism, and that was all brilliant. And we were all like, you know, you opened the windows and doors, and people just came in, and you didn't really have to work that hard for it. And it was quite nice. Now that was like 2006 or something.
yeah,
And I remember we were hit by the big snow. There was one Christmas, there was a big snow, and
yeah,
all the party nights cancelled. And that was the biggest tragedy to hit. Um, in my working career, obviously my parents had the troubles and different things like that,
sure.
but in my working career, and then it just feels like there's been one thing after another. But that's, you know, I've learned that's life. One thing after another is going to happen, and you just have to accept that. And it's more about how you react to it than going, oh gosh, I hope nothing happens. You know, you have to keep moving forward, and you know, this too shall pass, as they say, you know.
Exactly. So what have you learned about yourself in this sort of process of you know, doing hurdles, let's call it?
Yes. Well, I've learned, I suppose that just take that longer term view, you know, in my earlier days, I would have been very quick to react. Oh my gosh, we need to, oh no, you know, we need to react to this. And I remember during the financial crisis, there was a lot of places started doing like the $6.95 for a meal with a glass of wine. It was all over the Telegraph. You remember that time, you know, and we were sitting empty. Like, I mean, there was barely anybody in. And my dad was like, we are not doing it. We are not doing it. And everybody was saying to us, going, I'm probably concluding myself, going like, but everybody's doing it, and like we've nobody in here. We're like, what? And he's like, no, I built my business in quality and value.
Yeah,
I would have to reduce the quality of the products I'm bringing in to be able to reduce the price, and I'm not prepared to compromise in that. That's not what I'm doing.
yeah,
So he very much was like, we're sticking to our guns, and that taught me a lesson, because when we actually looked at the numbers, we were still getting the same footfall, but they weren't spending the same. So like, because people have been like squeezed financially, and I suppose it's sort of like potentially what's happening currently too, is that they didn't have maybe steaks and desserts and a couple of drinks. It was maybe going down to, do you know what, we'll share a starter, and I'm going to have the burger instead of steak, or you know, so changing what the purchases was, but they weren't changing the fact that where they were coming to.
yes,
And we got a lot of feedback from people going, we were trying to go out, still go out every week. So we were going for these deals, but we've decided we're just going to go out once a month to one of your places where we're guaranteed a really good meal. We know what we're getting, we trust it,
yeah,
and just go out once a month and really enjoy ourselves, instead of trying to go out every week and having varying types of experiences. So
sure.
I think that's what it's taught me over the years, going, you really have to stick by your values and trust your gut, and try not to knee-jerk react when things happen externally to you. You know, like it's,
Yes, yeah,
you can easily bring in cheaper frozen stuff and everything else. Like, we use local suppliers, but your fresh foods and the fishmongers and the local butchers and things like that, but you can easily change to
yeah,
imported frozen things, but then people aren't going to enjoy it, you know, and you've just
sure.
ruined years of building brand and building trust and
Yeah.
building reputation. So yeah, that's what I learned.
Very good, and a great share, and maybe all of those things that you've shared there, and obviously keeping the quality up, keeping the value up. Maybe that's all been part of what has also led to this latest bit of news that I saw on social media today, that you have been made finalists in the best place to work in the large business category, although we
I
know
was
there
like,
are
good
massive
news,
large.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
no,
Yes,
I'm just giving you another plug. And
thank you.
you know, I know from my own personal experience, we live just north of Ballymena, but both the Adair Arms and Dunadry would have been go-tos. Dunsily a wee bit, and it's always been good. I worked for a guy before, and we would always done our seminars there, and it was always very good. And recently I met a friend who lives in Larne, so we just got together at Coors,
Yes.
And again, it was just a hive of activity, and people getting lots of nice meals and stuff. It was so great to see. So obviously your workforce and your staff think this as well, that it's a great place to be.
Yeah, like, and do you know what? Like, a lot of our teams, and especially as senior management teams, like we've had lots of people with us for years, like Rosie in Dunsilly. If you've been in Dunsilly, everybody's been in Dunsilly during the week knows Rosie. And Rosie has been there from the Granite Heights days when we lived above the restaurant when I was a baby, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm sitting trying to have professional meetings, and she'll come over and be like, I used to nurse her. Da, da, da. Like,
I changed your nappy.
I know, exactly, basically, pretty much. And we are very, very fortunate that way. You know, we've had people with us for a very long time. And I suppose the other side of it is they stay with us a very long time because we're good to people. Do you know what I mean? And
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we just try to treat people as an extension of the family. Like we very much have family values, and we understand like people have families and they have lives going on, and people have, you know, kids that get sick, and you know, they have
Yeah.
all these things that happen. And we also realize that sometimes people don't get a great start in life, or you know, a lot of people come into hospitality, and there's been a few that came in without any qualifications, not even maths or English, you know, from
Yes.
school.
Yeah.
It's really hard to believe in this day and age that people can get through school and the
Mm.
education system and end up out the other side without any of
Yeah.
the essential qualifications. And we do have a large training and development program that everybody gets the opportunity to do MVQ level 2, every single staff member. And if you do that, then you get paid above like living wage, minimum wage. So
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
a salary bump to that as well. We have an online training platform, but you can go right up to degree level. We put a good number of
Brilliant.
people through degrees. Um,
Fantastic.
their leadership management, because we want people to progress, you know. And I
Yes. Yeah.
suppose it comes back to how John Core treated my dad. You know, he
Oh,
put
there
him
you. Yeah.
through his qualifications because he wasn't like he left school. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I suppose like it was more
Mm.
common back then, but he put him through his professional chefing qualifications, and then he put him through the dad went on to do a management diploma through the university as well. So to get his management qualifications. And so we just tried to instill that down throughout the rest of the team.
Yeah.
We do have a brand promise, and it's a brand promise, like, and I know people saying we have a brand promise and it's all like, oh, that's lovely. But it is something that we actually hold ourselves accountable to as a board level as well. So it's not just
Yes.
written on a wall and everybody's like, isn't that great? But we actually do look at our board meetings when we're deciding something, especially for our teams or anything really, like, you know, suppliers, we're looking at like a lot of our customer bases and stuff. Like we have a very we do more is our brand promise, and it's something we hold ourselves accountable to, going, is that doing more for our teams, for our community, for our customers? You know, are we doing more? You
Yeah.
know, are
Yeah.
we going above and beyond? But then it's something we expect from our suppliers towards us as well, and it's something we expect from our teams towards our customers. So
Sure.
it
Yeah.
sort of drives down that way. So yeah, you'll sort of see lived examples through our entire company on that. Like this year, our chosen charity is the NI Children's Hospice. We were doing the 5p for every
Fantastic.
cup of coffee sold goes to the Children's Hospice throughout. We've our own coffee blend, so it's our own bespoke blend, so 5p
Yeah.
of that goes. And all the teams were doing their own fundraising things as well. So throughout the hotels, if anybody
Fantastic.
calls them, you'll see different like teddy bears picnics, and somebody's throwing themselves off a building, and you know, there's all these different things going on. But then when the bed crisis came out, we were like, could we do more? Like, what else could we do? We came up with the green rooms initiative. So that is, if you stay like on a multi-night stay and you forgo your housekeeping services, we will give that £5 of the cost of cleaning that room to the charity as well. So
Okay.
you have a wee green door hanger and you hang it out, and
Yeah.
then you can like count that up as well if you're a corporate or you're, you know, an agent or something. Then you can go at the end of the year, we've had as a company so many green rooms, and you know that value that you've contributed then to the hospice. So it's like
Yes.
beds for beds sort of thing. So we then
Fantastic.
added that initiative in as well, because that's how we think, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Brilliant. So obviously your parents set the business up, and you've grown up in that.
Mhm.
So they must be a huge inspiration to you. But who else in business or in life inspires you?
Gosh, there's so many. There is so many people that inspire me. And I know it's easy to like rhyme off like different people that broke the mold, I suppose, like Karen Brady would be one of them. But I honestly think there's so much inspiration just even around you in the community.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
I think we're in a very privileged position in terms of hospitality. Like our hotels are in the community, so we see everything from christenings and people's life celebrations right
Yeah,
through
yeah, of
to like end of life celebrations. And
course.
when you start listening to people's stories and how people in everyday life are overcoming so much, and it's true what they say, like, walking somebody else's shoes.
Sure.
I'm always baffled by the strength people have to keep going, honestly. And I think it's more people, I think today need to talk to other people more and
Oh,
go,
sure. Yeah.
like, tell me something about you. I think as a society, we're getting a bit too self-involved
Yeah.
and not really thinking, going, well, what that person went through and how can I learn something from that person?
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
everybody's got their own story to tell.
Yeah, and I think when you and I were growing up, it was far more storytelling and far
Yeah,
more talking and listening to elders or peers and what their journey had been. And I suppose that's part of the concept behind the business spotlight. We're wanting to hear about people's journeys and what they did and actions they took, things that impacted them, and then that filters down to the next generation or more of our peers.
absolutely. And I think it's like, do you know what? Dawn French, actually, she's quite inspiring because she's got a book out and it's basically everything that she's ever done that's made her look like I don't know if I can say this on the podcast, but if you look it up, Dawn French's book, you'll see. And
Yeah.
it's everything she's ever done that she thought, I made a fool of myself. I look ridiculous. I'm an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I find that really refreshing because I think, again, today we're all trying to be, this is perfect. We have our lives
Mhm.
together. This is
Yes.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Nobody has their life together. And I think the more people realize that, the less stress and pressure you'll put on yourself because
Yeah.
you go, like, I'll leave here and go home, and my 2-year-old is no and throwing stuff. And I'm like, I get more respected work than I do in my own house. And I think that's just the way it is. I think we see everything through a screen today. We see everything
Sure.
through a lens
Yeah. Or
and
it's
don't
all it's
really
all photoshopped or it's
time,
all
yeah, to
perfect.
absorb that it's filtered and it's Photoshop and
Yeah.
showing the highlights really. Do you know what I mean? That's not everyday life to life. And I
Yeah.
think that's really important. And it does worry me for the younger generations, I
Yeah.
think, because I'm like, but that's not real. Like when I was younger, I suppose like if a group of friends left you out, you didn't know.
Hmm.
You were at home, you didn't know, you didn't see,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
didn't matter.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's instantaneous and you'll feel rejected,
Yeah.
you know, because you'll see these photos and it looks like people are having the best time. And you know what? They're maybe not having the best time. But you don't know
Yeah.
that through a photo.
Because it's sort of glossed over and it's
Yes, yeah,
it's made to look perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Totally. So here, tell me what does the future look like both for yourself, for McKeever Hotels, and what do you see as big challenges in that?
I definitely think costs are a big challenge. I think no matter what business you're in, cost is a massive challenge.
Yeah.
And the uncertainty, it's been years of uncertainty now. Like we're 4 years post-COVID and
Sure.
it's still every day there's something else still coming out, But so I think that is difficult. It's trying to keep those margins is a problem. And you're seeing a lot of like Premier Inn, I think, just announced that they are doing away with a lot of their F&B side of it. So their food and beverage, their restaurants, and they're just going to focus on rooms because food and beverage is very labor intensive and it's very small margins and it's very difficult to do. So I think you're going to see a lot of that in the industry, that there's going to be a lot more maybe restaurants or small pubs going. That to me is very sad because
Sure.
that's the family businesses generally,
Yeah.
and that's the community stuff, and that's like the stuff that really tourists come here for. Do you know what I mean? They come here to see what the actual locals are like and where they go to drink and
Exactly. Yeah.
food. And, you know, that's what
Yeah.
makes us who we are. So that is a concern for me in the industry. I suppose where
Sure.
we are going, we've aspirations to grow. We definitely want to keep growing and developing. My dad did a calculation based on where he started and what he did in 30 years, because it was 30 years last year of him and
Wow.
mum purchasing Course Corner as the roadhouse, and
Yes.
how much it had developed and things. And he was said to Eddie and I going, right, so if you in 30 years, if you want to achieve the same percentage of success, you're gonna have to make like billions, you know.
Yeah.
We were like, I don't think we can do that, but okay. How
Yeah.
about we just don't mess up? How about that? Is that success? So yeah, no, but we do have aspirations to grow and develop, I suppose, but we isn't about a numbers game for us. It would have to definitely fit in with our values. It would have to fit in with our core, and we would have to go, yeah, we feel that this is a member of the family that could be brought in. It's not
Yeah.
just about, yeah, there's another one, get that one. You know,
Sure. Sure.
we are in it for long haul. We're not there to buy a property and flip it for a profit 3 years later, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. So you've been on this journey, and you've still got plenty of road to run. But if you could turn back the clock to when you were 18, working in the parents' business, what's the best piece of advice you would give an 18-year-old Bridgene back then?
Best piece of
Excuse me.
advice to 18-year-olds. My goodness, if I was 18 again, I would listen to a 40-year-old woman give me advice. To be honest. I would say the best piece of advice to an 18-year-old is don't take it so serious. You know, I think there's an awful lot of pressure on young people today. I think there's an awful lot of peer pressure from the French groups, like the social media and things. We didn't have that back then, so we didn't really have to worry about it. We'd snake maybe on the phone. I think that just came out, you know, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, just to realize everything isn't what it seems sometimes online. I think knowing that if you don't know what you want to do, that is okay. Like at 18, I actually didn't want to be in my family business at all. I was like, I'm not coming into it, no way, grew up in this, I'm not doing it. And then went to university and kept working at it, and then came out and realized when I went into it then full time, I actually really loved it. It was my passion.
Great.
So if you're 18 and you're going, I don't know what I want to do, you're just finishing your A levels, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Just that's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
You can change careers, you can change direction at any time in your life. It doesn't have to be, I'm on my path now and that's me. Realize that life will hit you with challenges. There's no way to avoid it. And I think once you accept that you are going to face adversity at some point in your life, it makes you happier, more relaxed, and it's about how you're going to react to that, instead of going, oh gosh, I hope nothing bad happens, because I would have been a worrier. I always was a worrier, so it took me a long time to stop worrying about things I couldn't control. But yeah, just roll with the punches. It's going to be okay.
Brilliant.
And enjoy being 18. Love to be 18 again. It'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. If I could do that, oh my goodness, I would have to turn the clock back a lot further than you. But no, it's great, and those are great shares. But just as one sort of last comment, what would you say, or what advice would you give to someone who wants to go into business for themselves nowadays?
The advice I would give is talk to people. I think there's a common theme here. I like to talk to people. But no, honestly, like I think going into business can be very lonely. It can be very stressful. I think definitely get advice in the areas you need advice in, like tax, you know, unless you're going and setting up a tax advice business, like those are things, HR, if you're going to employ people, take advice. Look for resources or things that can help, like Invest in I know ran the Go For It program, and they can help set you up with all those different things. There's some really good organizations like Women in Business. If you're a woman trying to set it up, there's so much help there and advice, and it's really reasonable membership. equally local chambers. Like we always go on to our local chambers when we go into anywhere new. We went to Ballymena, Letterkenny, and we've just set up the Antrim one here. And they're really good because you get to talk to different industries who are facing the same problems. Like this is the same things come up over and over, no matter what industry it is, you know. And you get to meet people, and they might not be able to do business with you, but they might be able to tell you something, a business advice, or point you in a direction of somebody who can. And when you're approaching people, I would say, because people get all freaked out about networking, you know, people want networking. You're like, it's a chat. You're talking to somebody going, what do you do? How are you doing? What's that like? Tell me more. You know, it's you're having a chat with somebody. Like you're not there to sell. You're there to learn about them. Oh, I actually maybe could help you with that problem. And then that's when you come in or get people to know you, especially in the first instance, you know.
Yeah. It's all about know, like, and trust, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Building that relationship.
And I think we kind of have lost that, I suppose, enjoyment of chatting, you know, or talking to people. But then maybe it's because I'm a hospitality person, we generally like people, you know. we're people. So I don't know.
Yeah. Brilliant. Like, really good advice, really sound advice. And it's been great to have you on today. Thanks so much again for investing your time in the Business Spotlight. And we look forward to hearing more about you, your journey, more success for the McKeever Hotels, and that you end up winning the
I know, exactly.
Best
The big award. The big
Yeah.
award. I know we're very excited about that. We are.
I'm sure you are. Yeah, that's
Nothing
fantastic.
else, even just being a finalist is just unbelievable when you see who we're up against.
Exactly. It's just phenomenal achievement, even just being a finalist.
Exactly.
You know, fantastic.
No,
Really
thank
great.
you, Richard. It was lovely
No,
chatting.
thank you. Great. And all the very best going forward.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.